commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder, will be legal for 12 continuous hours.
So, in the year 2024, where the world seems to be divided ideologically, there has been fears of civil wars across the globe, and jokes of the start of World War III flying. There definitely seems to be an underlying fear mounting to a boiling point to levels not seen since the historic civil wars, world wars, or French Revolution. The solution seems to be a clamp down on false rhetoric, debate in good faith, be kind, and make policies that unite us all. Well, one man that is vying to be one of the most powerful people in the world has another plan.
Now, if you had one really violent day, like a guy like Mike Kelly, put him in charge, Congressman Kelly, put him in charge for one day. It's a chain of events that's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately.
Yes, you heard that right. Former president and current presidential candidate Donald Trump has suggested a purge as a policy choice and possible solution.
Jesus Christ.
Well, after hearing this, I decided the best thing to do was to prepare myself. And how do I do that? Well, I watch all of The Purge, obviously. From the movies to the TV show, I watched it all. By the way, the Purge TV series was nearly impossible to find here in Canada. Luckily, I had help from today's sponsor, My Relentlessness, and support
from viewers like you. Thank you.
Anyway, all this Purge binging made me realize that the Purge movies and TV series wasted a lot of potential. For the next 24 hours, all crime is legal. Now, most people's immediate thought isn't to return to being a sub-animal and kill unabashedly. In this economy, no one can afford to do all of that. In the first Purge movie, it is introduced by highlighting the dynamics between the wealthy and the poor people of the new America. It is a genuinely good analysis on how those in privilege take advantage of those with less, often gaining more money, power, and disconnection until it affects them personally. If The Purge stayed as the one film, then it would be fine. But when a movie is made for $3 million and earns $90 million, then they're gonna run with it. In most Purge media, barring season 2 of the show, the focus is really on the few hours leading up to the Purge and then the Purge hours. In real life, a major issue with the Purge would be the preparations for the Purge. You see, although crime in general for 364 days would probably decrease for the first year, it wouldn't last. Year 1, everyone would fear retaliation, but once it becomes part of normal life, everyone would just arm up. People would just use that day to seek more and more revenge until a boiling point as seen in the Forever Purge. A lot of the crimes that tend to happen are crimes of necessity or opportunity as seen in Purge 3, the first Purge, such as robbery because you're poor and hungry, or even violent gang crimes due to economic and social situations. The Purge has no way to stop those crimes from happening throughout the year. Historically, the Purge does have some precedent. In ancient Rome, there was a festival called Saturnalia, a holiday that took place between December 17th to 23rd. This 7-day holiday was dedicated to Saturn. No, not the planet, but the Roman god of time, abundance, and wealth the planet was named after. This holiday was a way to act in ways against usual norms. Slaves would be served by their masters, gambling was permitted, and all souls were freed into immortality. Saturnalia even had influence on Western European traditions such as Christmas, with its post-celebratory gift-giving. Anyway, Saturnalia was a way to break free, release all inhibitions, and feel the rain on your skin. Not a way to introduce violence. I think the Purge was a wasted concept. Head-to-head violence isn't the most intriguing, but planned out crimes are.
Which one of you will survive this year's Purge?
When I was younger, I watched the first 2 Purges, and I was too stupid to realize that it wasn't a horror movie, but instead a political commentary, displaying the horrors of a government and ruling class gaining control and using the less fortunate to unburden themselves. I get that now, but you see, they still displayed it poorly. After setting up the general concept in the first Purge movie, the series should have been an anthology like Love Actually. Wait, it's not Christmas yet. But make Love Actually your Christmas movie, it's amazing. Anyway, The Purge should have been more like an American Horror Story. Once a year, everyone in the world gets Batman's third most important power behind plot armor and money, prep time. A full year for everyone to prepare to take advantage of no police would lead to very intriguing and complex stories that are more than random escape the night affairs in which were the main focus of the movies and TV series. I think there are 4 series to focus on. So let's be real. In this economy, money will be the biggest reason anyone would truly want to participate in the purge. Not to engage in violence to purify oneself from negative emotions. As said before, the main point of the purge was to demonstrate the differences between the rich and the less fortunate in a broken system. So a great way to expand on that is by showing the actual crimes people would attempt. Financial crimes. A big one would be a heist. Planning a heist during a purge, the most unpredictable night of the year. Not only will the crew have to dodge typical purgers, traffickers, but most importantly, other heisting crews. But not everyone would have the tools, fearlessness, and knowledge, so even smaller heists such as to a Walmart or a Costco would go down. Nothing off limits. During major environmental catastrophes, often these types of major box stores are raided, and the purge would be a similar crisis as lawlessness rises and desperation and opportunity is at an all-time high. There can be people that use this time to obtain items like consoles, computers, TVs, and phones, and other high-ticket items to get a hold of, and sell for a higher price the next few days, creating a new form of the much-hated scalpers. A whole economy built on runners trying to get the merchandise and get out with their own life. Even being hunted down as people are tired of having to pay big prices for items post-purge, and the corporations hiring security to defend their own merchandise, turning the streets into a war zone as everyone tries to obtain the money for the future and escape to a non-purge country, which should be the true end goal of all those who live under the purge rules. Another major failure of the Purge series was to give real motivations for why the villains feel the need to participate in the Purge. Often the villains were either just can or just the rich. That isn't enough. Yes, the Purge is stories of loss of loved one, protecting your family, promotion, cheating, and revenge for assault. What was missing was the detail and the exploration. The Purge thrives when it shows the depths desperate people will go when lawlessness is gone. So having a person who has escaped justice be relentlessly haunted by their victims would showcase this. Although the purge is only 1 day per year, the horror and worry of someone getting their revenge would lead to paranoia and fear. Exploring the depths people will go and the haunting of committing crimes can be. Hitmen would spring up as the need for people willing to go out on purge night would increase. These hitmen would have family members who are sick and take on this job as a massive amount of income to ensure they can take care of their loved ones. A whole economy of hunting and protecting would spring up past just security doors, and in the mess, other crimes could go unnoticed. For example, Purge Night would be a big day for Diddy. Now, I don't want to see the night in question, but the way he would use that night for his depravity, further displaying the power dynamics of the rich and powerful versus the less fortunate, and the horrors they place upon people. With Purge making things legal, this wouldn't even be a private situation. Trafficking and other crimes of that nature by celebrities would be publicly known, many people being forced into situations they don't want to be in, even without monetary payment. This would lead to those opposing these parties to rise up as society would have to deal with the knowledge that these evil people exist, and their only way to stop it would be to fight back. Before we continue the video today, remember to like, comment, and subscribe below as your support would go a long way. This video is sponsored by my YouTube membership and will help me push out more videos such as the dark side of Rockstar's GTA 6, why Miles Morales shouldn't be in the MCU, or my review of Star Wars The Acolyte. I have more exciting videos coming out like my story theory of GTA 6, how franchises are causing the collapse of cinema, and the morality of superheroes. So remember to click the bell to get notifications for when those come out. Anyway, back to the video. Tensions are as high as ever globally, and especially in the United States. Whether it is distrust in the government, emergence of fringe or extreme groups who have beliefs identically to a German World War II leader, or just the direction of the future, there is a lot of clashing, and it's a level of viciousness not usually seen. So how would the freedom of lawlessness be used to shape the future? Yes, in this series, the new founding fathers were the political party that brought in the purge, and they even used their influence to change the rules and to try assassinate a competitor. This was very intriguing, but we could take this further. How would a bad candidate use their powers on the purge to get rid of competition, not just political opponents, but justices, leaders of groups that are causing issues for their campaign, using behind closed door dealings to push agenda, policy, and restrictions, which effectively would make them a dictatorship. No longer will the shadowy dealings be restricted to only under the table, but instead a whole night of the most powerful trying to gain an advantage against their own citizens. A big current issue right now for certain demographics has been them being systemically ushered out of the voting process. From voting boundaries to demographics like the constant threat of increasing the voting age. This wouldn't be the typical horror tropes that The Purge pushed, but let's be real, they weren't really horror films anymore. This would show the horror of power that's left unchecked, and how boundaries would continually be pushed when there isn't any resistance. So something small like a bill to improve healthcare that the president pushes during the purge to have a way to push a bill without resistance opens the gateway to corporations controlling the government for their own interests in a much worse way than they do now, with no fear of repercussions, or allowing police unchecked restrictions on their power, pushing propaganda that not even banning an app or investigations could stop. A group that would see the advantage of having a purge would be gangs and mobs. For those without the money to protect themselves, gangs would be the first line of defense, with personal weapons and resources to defend the neighborhood for a price, obviously. When lawlessness comes in, they would become the new police, and that comes with detrimental effects that last long into the year. A new monetization method for gangs would come in on top of the usual smuggling. But to maintain that dominance, moves on Purge Night must be happening. Planning rivalry attacks and moving products will take up a lot of manpower and will leave the streets stuck in a 12-hour gang war. A war that will catch the most vulnerable, such as the homeless and those who happen to be stuck outside during purge hours. This actually would have solved much of the problems with the purge, as often it felt like crimes were happening with no reason or without enough fear of the night, as there was just random, no real stakes, so no real fear. So there you have a brief history in how to actually improve the Purge franchise using actual human motivations to bring back fear. How do you feel about the Purge franchise? Do you think it can be improved? What do you think of my suggestions? Let me know down below. Remember to like and subscribe for more content like this. If you want to see how I would improve the Nintendo Switch for the new Switch 2 that is set to be announced really soon, click right here. Till next time, bye.